Graduating college was one of the worst days of my life up until that point. As soon as I grabbed my diploma and walked back to my seat, I felt lost, empty, and full of regret. This was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life, but instead I felt dread. I sat there in the auditorium surrounded by people celebrating and tried to figure out why I felt the opposite of what I was supposed to feel. To explain that, I have to go back to the beginning. When I was younger, every adult in my life stressed the importance of graduating college. My parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, teachers, guidance counselors, everyone gave me the same spiel. If you want a good career, you need a degree. So that's what I did. I made it my life's goal. I had no idea what I would use it for when I first enrolled. And so right after high school, I signed up for a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering. I had no idea what an electrical engineer actually did, but it sounded impressive and it paid well and made my family proud. But almost immediately, I realized it was a tough degree. For almost 2 years, I barely passed. I spent hours in the school library and in tutoring sessions and still felt like I couldn't understand anything. And after nearly 2 full years of that, I knew I couldn't do it for 2 more. So I had to make one of the hardest decisions of my life. Keep struggling through a degree I didn't even want, or drop out and disappoint everyone around me. Well, I dropped out, and it was one of the most humiliating experiences of my life. I was the one in my family who was going to make it, and here I was giving up. For 2 years, I wandered. Random jobs, enough money to get by, still living at my parents' house. I was supporting myself and covering my own expenses, but I knew something was missing. I knew I was meant to do more. I just had no idea of what that looked like. So I turned 22 with no real direction and no plan. For my birthday, I asked my mom and sister to take a walk with me to a state park I've been going to for years. It was one of those types of places, wooded trails, very quiet, and just all around peaceful. Somewhere on that trail, the question came up again. The same one that had been following me around for 2 years. What are you going to do with your life? But this time, I actually came up with an answer. I realized standing there that being outside in places exactly like that one was the only thing that had ever felt completely natural to me. I could spend an entire day in nature and never once checked the time. So that evening, I went home and started looking for degrees and careers built around that. That's how I landed on environmental science. So I enrolled not long after that and began the coursework. This time, everything felt different. I was passing my classes, I was engaged in discussions, I wasn't constantly struggling. After finishing one class, I was actually looking forward to the next. I remember thinking, this is what college is supposed to feel like. I was doing so well, I started asking my guidance counselor for more classes each semester. I kept that pace up for 2 full years, and then came the final semester. The anticipation was building, and all of that hard work was about to pay off. Everyone was going to be proud of me, and more importantly, I was going to be proud of myself. My last semester was one of the easiest I had had, and I passed, of course. I finished my classes early in the year, but had to wait a few months for the graduation ceremony. When the day finally arrived, my mom, dad, sister, and girlfriend, who's now my wife, were all there. They told me how proud they were. They said they'd be cheering when I walked across that stage. During the ceremony, I sat waiting for my name to be called. After about 20 minutes, it came. I walked to the stage, up to the podium, grabbed my diploma, and walked back to my seat. I was smiling the whole time until I sat back down. I don't know exactly what happened in that moment, but a feeling of dread came over me, and my mood shifted completely. Something wasn't right. This was supposed to be one of the best moments of my life. I met my family afterward and didn't let on that anything was wrong. I smiled for the pictures. I smiled through dinner. I smiled the whole way home. No one knew it, but I felt miserable. After a few weeks of sitting with that feeling, I finally understood what actually happened. I had spent years making the degree the whole point. Every hard day, every class I passed, every moment of doubt, I told myself, It would all make sense once I had that diploma in my hand. The diploma was supposed to be the answer, but it wasn't an answer. It was a beginning, and I hadn't prepared myself for that at all. I'd been so focused on finishing that I never once asked what finishing was actually for. The degree didn't give me a career. It didn't give me direction. It didn't give me the feeling I'd been promised. It just quietly handed me the next question, the same one I'd been trying to escape since I was 18, which was, what are you going to do with your life? The goal wasn't the destination. It never is. It's just the door to the next part of the journey. And if you spend the whole journey staring at the door, you'll walk through it and feel exactly what I felt. Like you just arrived somewhere and there's nothing there. Don't chase the diploma. Don't chase the promotion. Don't chase the next thing and tell yourself you'll feel it when you get there, because you won't. And that's not a failure. That's really just how it works. The feeling you're looking for isn't at the finish line, it's in what you are building right now, even if right now is hard and unclear and nothing like you planned.